Let me tell you about the night 3 police officers in Crestwood County learned the hard way that not every black woman they push around is powerless. Some people walk quietly through the world, minding their business, keeping their head down. And some people carry a strength so deep that when you try to break them, all you really do is break yourself. Dr. Naomi Pierce was one of those people. Though most folks didn't know it. Not yet. It started on a cold November evening, the kind of night where the wind bites through your coat. Naomi was driving home from the university hospital after a 14-hour shift. She'd been running on stale coffee and sheer discipline, humming softly to stay awake. Crestwood had recently implemented a new safety checkpoint program, at least that was the official term they plastered on the news. But everyone in Naomi's side of town knew the truth. These stops weren't about safety. They were about control. Especially control over people who looked like her. Blue lights flashed ahead. Naomi sighed, slowed the car, rolled down her window, hands visible. She'd done this routine enough times to know the script. What she didn't know was how fast this night was about to escalate. Officer Lyle approached her window, heavy boots crunching on gravel. His flashlight hit her eyes before her face. License and registration. No greeting, no explanation. Just command. Naomi kept her voice steady. Of course, officer. May I ask what the checkpoint is for tonight? Lyle snorted like he'd been waiting for her to ask. Asking questions usually means trouble. Just hand me your documents. She passed them through the window and watched him walk back to his cruiser. The second officer, a man with the build of a linebacker and the expression of a brick wall, stepped closer. That one was Sergeant Boyd. A name people in Naomi's neighborhood knew too well. He leaned into her window. Got somewhere important to be? His tone hung between sarcasm and threat. I just finished my shift at Crestwood Medical. I'm heading home. He nodded slowly, eyes narrowing. You must think you're better than the rest of the folks we pull over. You people always do. Naomi felt a sharp heat rise in her chest, but she swallowed it down. Stay calm. Stay precise. Officer, I haven't violated any law. I'd like to know the reason for this stop. Boyd smirked. Reason is whatever we decide. Step out of the vehicle. Inside her bones, something went cold. She'd seen this pattern before. A simple stop becoming a punishment for daring to speak like an equal. Naomi stepped out anyway, slow, controlled. She could feel neighbors watching from porches, phones half raised but unsure. She stood with her back straight, her breath steady in the freezing air. Lyle returned, waving her license. Everything checks out, he told Boyd. But Boyd shook his head. Not good enough. She's got an attitude. Run a full search. Naomi raised an eyebrow. Sergeant, without probable cause, you need my consent. Boyd laughed loud enough for the whole block to hear. Oh look, we got ourselves a lawyer. Dr. Naomi Pierce, she corrected softly. Not a lawyer. A trauma surgeon. Her words only made his grin widen. A doctor. That explains the tone. Thinks she's untouchable. Then he said the line that would cost him his badge. People from your neighborhood should remember their place. That was it. Naomi didn't shout. She didn't argue. She simply reached into her coat, slowly enough for everyone to see, and pressed 2 small buttons sewn into the fabric. A tiny vibration buzzed against her ribs. Her encrypted call system was now transmitting, discreetly, to the Oversight Committee of the Department of Civil Service. Very few civilians even knew such a thing existed. Even fewer had access to it. Naomi Pierce was one of them. Because the truth about her wasn't written anywhere on her ID. The truth was that earlier that year, she had been appointed to a federal advisory board on law enforcement oversight after she saved the secretary's daughter during a mass casualty emergency. She never flaunted it. She never used it. Until tonight. Boyd didn't notice a thing. Hands behind your back, he ordered, grabbing her arm before she could respond. Pain shot through her shoulder as metal cuffs clicked tight. Too tight. She sucked in a breath. This is unnecessary force. Boyd leaned close enough that she felt his breath. You talk too much. The third officer, a jittery rookie named Sanderson, stood by watching with a mixture of fear and obedience. He looked like someone who had joined the force to help people but hadn't realized how quickly peer pressure could twist a man. As he moved to search her pockets, Naomi said calmly, "For the record, I am not resisting." "And for the record," Boyd replied, "your attitude is the biggest problem here." Neighbors finally lifted their phones fully. One woman whispered, "Isn't that Dr. Pierce, the one who saved my nephew?" But fear kept her recording from the shadows. They shoved Naomi into the back of the cruiser, her cuffed wrists scraping vinyl. The car door slammed and the sound echoed through her chest. She breathed once, twice, steady, letting her heartbeat find its rhythm. The alert she had triggered would reach Washington in minutes. But she needed to stay sharp until then. At Crestwood Station, fluorescent lights hummed overhead as they dragged her inside. Processing smelled like bleach and coffee left too long on a burner. They took her fingerprints, her mugshot, her belongings. Sanderson looked away as Boyd snickered behind her. Another one who thinks rules don't apply. Naomi stood tall, silent. Every insult, every shove, every threat was being transmitted, time-stamped, stored. When they locked her in a holding room, she sat on the bench, back straight. The clock read 9:12 p.m. She had told the committee years ago that if she ever activated the system, it meant immediate danger. If nothing had changed, she had exactly 34 minutes until arrival. And at minute 28, everything shifted. Captain Boyd entered the room with a smirk. His confidence had grown into arrogance now that she was behind locked doors. "If you sign this confession," he said, sliding papers forward, "we'll drop the resisting charge." Naomi didn't touch the documents. "I am requesting legal counsel." Again. Boyd rolled his eyes. "Lady, you're in Crestwood, not Washington. Nobody's coming to save you." He was very, very wrong. The door burst open. Lieutenant Mason, Internal Affairs, stepped in with a stiff expression. "Captain, we need to talk. Now." Boyd bristled. "I'm in the middle of an interrogation." "No, sir," Mason said, urgency cracking through his voice. "You need to step out." Boyd started to bark another order when he noticed something behind Mason. Footsteps. Heavy. Synchronized. 5 individuals in tailored dark coats entered the station. No uniforms. No badges. But their presence sucked the air from the room. The room fell silent as a tall man stepped forward, crisp voice cutting the air. "Where is Dr. Naomi Pierce?" Boyd blinked. "Doctor, I don't know what you." The man held up a hand. He was not asking. He was ordering. And everyone in that station felt it. "Her name is in your system," the man said, glaring at him. "You booked her 49 minutes ago. We are classified federal oversight. And you are about to have the longest night of your career." Boyd's face drained. Sanderson froze at attention. Mason swallowed hard. Naomi watched through the one-way glass as the room outside erupted in chaos, confusion, fear. The leader of the federal team stepped into her holding cell. "Dr. Pierce, are you injured?" Naomi stood. "No. Just restrained." He nodded. "We'll handle that." He removed the cuffs gently, like he was untying a gift instead of undoing an injustice. Then he spoke loud enough for the hallway to hear. "The Department of Civil Service has been monitoring the Crestwood checkpoint program for 11 months. Dr. Pierce agreed to participate in a civilian audit. What your officers did tonight confirms our projections." Boyd sputtered. She wasn't part of any audit. She refused orders. She resisted. Naomi took one step forward. "Captain, I asked why I was stopped. I invoked my rights. And you punished me for it. That's not resistance. That's retaliation." The federal officer turned to Boyd. "Captain, you arrested a federal appointee without probable cause, violated multiple constitutional protections, and used discriminatory language documented on recording." His jaw tightened. "You're done." Boyd lunged for justification, any justification. "She questioned my authority. She acted superior." The man raised an eyebrow. "So you arrested her for talking back? That's not policing, Captain. That's ego." They escorted Boyd and Lyle out of the station in handcuffs of their own. Sanderson stood pale and shaking. The federal officer approached him quietly. "You knew it was wrong. You hesitated. That hesitation is why you're not losing your badge tonight. But you will undergo retraining. And you will testify." Sanderson nodded hard, like a man grateful to still have a future to rebuild. As the chaos settled, Naomi stood in the center of the station, the weight of the night pressing down but not breaking her. The lead investigator approached her. "Dr. Pierce, your bravery under pressure helped us complete the case. You exposed a pattern we couldn't fully prove from the outside." She shook her head gently. "I didn't do it to expose anything. I did it because people in my community have lived like this for years. And nobody listens when they say it's real." He nodded. "They'll listen now." The following week, the entire Crestwood checkpoint program was suspended pending federal review. Boyd resigned under investigation. Lyle faced criminal charges for falsifying reports. Sanderson transferred to a new department, determined to become the kind of officer Crestwood desperately needed. As for Naomi, she returned to her work as if nothing had happened. People in town whispered, cheered, hugged her. Some stared like they'd never seen her before. But she stayed humble. Quiet strength didn't need applause. Months later, during a televised committee hearing, Naomi was asked one question that sparked national debate. "Why didn't you reveal your authority immediately?" She answered calmly. "Because the system shouldn't only work when someone important walks through it. It should work for everyone. Even those without titles. Without connections. Without shields." It was the kind of answer that made half the country nod and the other half argue in circles. A perfect kind of ending, or maybe a beginning. So let me ask you this. What do you think? Should people have to hold power to receive justice, or should justice protect even those with none? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear every perspective. And if you want more stories that hit hard and stick with you long after they end, hit that like button and subscribe. Your voice keeps these stories alive.